People disappear all the time. Some are found while others are never heard from again. But what happens when someone reappears, only to return with no memory, a changed identity, or a baffling secret? Today we're diving deeper than ever into the most chilling cases of people who vanished, only to come back in ways that left investigators, loved ones, and entire communities more confused than before. In some cases, the person who returns isn't who they claim to be. In others, they carry evidence of an experience so strange that even seasoned detectives can't explain it. Stay with me until the end, because one of these stories remains unresolved to this day, with the child's fate still unknown and the supposed return still fueling conspiracies online. If you love deep dives into true crime and unsolved mysteries, subscribe now so you don't miss next Saturday's episode, where we explore real-life encounters with unknown figures, encounters so unsettling they defy ordinary explanation. It was December 1975 when a disoriented woman was found wandering in downtown Toronto, Canada. She wore clothes that seemed slightly outdated, carried no wallet or documents, and didn't appear hurt, just deeply confused. She was taken to a local hospital where she introduced herself as Jean Sauvier, but when asked about her background, she drew a complete blank. Doctors concluded she might be suffering from a rare fugue state, a form of amnesia that erases one's sense of identity. Weeks became months. The police circulated her description, fingerprints, and photos nationwide. Missing persons reports were cross-referenced. Still, no one came forward to claim Jean as their missing daughter, friend, or spouse. Over time, she displayed an uncanny ability to speak multiple languages: Italian, German, and even snippets of Russian. Languages she apparently never studied before. Experts were baffled. Was this latent knowledge from a forgotten life, or had she somehow acquired new linguistic skills during her disappearance? Psychiatrists attempted hypnosis, hoping to retrieve hidden memories, yet every session ended in a fog of confusion. Jeanne herself expressed frustration. She felt she had an entire history locked away somewhere in her mind but couldn't access it. Attempts to track her movements before she was discovered yielded little. Some locals thought they recognized her, but no leads ever panned out. Years passed, and Jean created a new life with the identity she had. She took up painting, sold some pieces at local art fairs, and slowly integrated into the Toronto community. Yet the mystery of her origin remained. She never showed up in any official registry or school records. In quiet moments, she reported experiencing flashes, vague images of a coastline, a small child running, or a lit-up marquee sign at night, but none lasted long enough to decode any real meaning. To this day, Jean Sauvier's background remains unsolved. She lived the rest of her life as a woman with no confirmed past, a living testament to how a disappearance can end in a reappearance that only makes the mystery deeper. Some speculate she witnessed something traumatic that triggered her fugue. Others suggest a covert espionage angle, though no evidence supports that. All we know is her amnesia never cracked, and the question of who she truly was and where she'd been remains one of Canada's strangest missing person turned found person stories. In 1912, 4-year-old Bobby Dunbar disappeared during a family fishing trip in Louisiana. The frantic search that followed gripped the region. Locals dragged the lake, combed the woods, and posted reward notices. The family was well known, and sympathy poured in from all corners. But days turned into weeks with no sign of Bobby. 8 months later, authorities found a boy in Mississippi traveling with a handyman named William Walters. The child's resemblance to Bobby was striking, so police seized him and contacted the Dunbar family. Initially, the mother hesitated. Reports say the child cried when taken from Walters and didn't respond to the name Bobby. Yet the Dunbars insisted he was their lost son. Walters was arrested, accused of kidnapping, and the reunited family went home to Louisiana, greeted by cheers and newspaper headlines proclaiming a miraculous return. But rumors swirled. Another woman, Julia Anderson, claimed the boy was her son, Bruce Anderson, and that Walters had permission to take him temporarily. Courtroom battles ensued. Ultimately, the judge sided with the Dunbars and Walters was convicted of kidnapping. The boy lived the rest of his life as Bobby Dunbar, seemingly content within the Dunbar household. Nearly a century later, family genealogists grew curious. They performed a DNA test in 2004, comparing the alleged Bobby's descendant to the real Dunbar bloodline. The result, no match. This meant the boy raised as Bobby Dunbar was actually Bruce Anderson all along. The real Bobby Dunbar's fate remains unknown. Did he drown in that lake? Was he taken by someone else? The returned child was never the real Bobby in the first place. This shocking revelation upended an entire family history. The man who grew up thinking he was Bobby Dunbar had passed away years before the DNA test. Some family members felt betrayed, others relieved to finally know the truth. As for the real Bobby, his disappearance remains a tragic unsolved case, overshadowed by the decades-long mistaken identity that fooled everyone, including the courts. In February 1978, 23-year-old college student Stephen Kubacki set out on a solo cross-country skiing trip near Lake Michigan. When he failed to return, search teams found his footprints leading onto the frozen lake, and then stopping abruptly. His skis and backpack were left behind, but there was no hole in the ice, no sign of foul play. Authorities suspected he fell into the frigid lake and drowned, though the circumstances were odd. 15 months later, Kubacki startled everyone by walking into his parents' home as if he'd never been gone. He had no memory of the missing time. He claimed to have woken up in a field in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, wearing unfamiliar clothes and carrying a bag of random items he couldn't explain. The distance between where he vanished and where he reappeared was over 700 miles. Questions rained down. Where was he for those 15 months? Did he suffer amnesia from a head injury, or was there a psychological fugue state triggered by stress? How did he survive without resources in the dead of winter? Kubacki offered no answers. He seemed physically healthy, but mentally distant, refusing to undergo extensive evaluations or share details of his wandering. Conspiracy theories sprang up. Some speculated alien abduction or secret government experiments. Others believed Kubacki might have staged the entire disappearance for personal reasons. Yet none of this was proven, and Kubacki himself showed little interest in explaining. He went back to college, finished his degree, and mostly avoided the media. His family chose privacy over prolonged scrutiny. The record stands, a man missing for over a year, returning with no memory and a bizarre gap in his timeline. Like many baffling reappearance stories, it ends with more questions than when it began. In May 2011, 6-year-old Timothy Pitson was signed out of school by his mother, Amy Fry Pitson, in Aurora, Illinois. They went on what seemed like a spontaneous road trip, visiting zoos, water parks, and resorts. After several days, Amy was found deceased in a motel room, an apparent suicide note beside her. The note promised Timothy was safe with people who would care for him, but no one knew who those people were. The boy was gone without a trace. For years, Timothy's fate remained a heart-wrenching mystery. Occasionally, unverified sightings popped up, but each led nowhere. Then in April 2019, hope soared. A teenager emerged in Kentucky claiming to be Timothy Pitson, claiming he'd escaped from captivity. The media descended. Families prayed. Could it be the missing child finally returning home after nearly 8 years? DNA tests dashed those hopes. The teen was actually a 23-year-old man with a history of impersonating missing kids. The false claim devastated Timothy's relatives anew, and the public was outraged by the cruel deception. Meanwhile, the real Timothy remained missing. His mother's final words, the only clue, "You will never find him." What truly happened to Timothy? Did Amy hand him over to a secret confidant, or worse, end his life before taking her own? Investigators have found zero leads to confirm either scenario. The false return exposed the agony families endure when empty promises and cruel hoaxes offer fleeting hope. Timothy's case remains active. a decade-long riddle with no closure in sight. These individuals vanished into thin air, some in the dead of winter, some from a fishing trip, some taken by loved ones under ominous circumstances. But what unites them is how their reappearance only deepened the mystery. Some returned with no memories, others with secrets that left families reeling, and in at least one case, the returned child turned out never to have been missing in the first place. Which story unsettled you the most? Jean Sauvier's unexplained languages, Bobby Dunbar's stolen identity, Kubaki's lost year, or Timothy Pitson's tragic false return? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this extended deep dive, subscribe now so you don't miss next Saturday's episode, where we reveal real-life encounters with unknown figures, cases so eerie they defy ordinary explanation. And remember, sometimes finding a missing person doesn't solve the mystery. It only begins a new one. Thank you for watching. See you in the next investigation.